Before the pandemic, San Francisco had the highest building occupancy rate in the country. And now most of the city's skyscrapers sit empty.
According to Zillow, inventory in the city, there in orange, has soared by 96% year over year.
Almost half say it's because they want a slower, quieter pace, a dangerous trend for an area dependent on its talent.
A lot of these big companies have moved to remote work. They've said, hey, we're not coming back. Google said we're not coming back till 2021.
Right.
Others have said, look, we don't know if we're coming back completely the way we were ever again.
Okay, so there have been so many news articles, Medium posts, stories, tweets about people migrating out of big expensive cities like New York or SF. Whether or not they carry any weight is very much up for debate, but I wanted to expose my mindset through it all. As someone who's 24 years old, I work in tech, I lived in San Francisco, and yes, I did move out of my apartment during the pandemic, and I'm here to capture my experience of what this reality has looked like for me at least. I've been sleeping on an air mattress. It is a very tall air mattress. I moved in extremely slowly, fully anticipating that I would call this apartment a home for several years as my roommates already had. Well, would you look at who just got her first window covering. I have been living here for over a month officially. All right, it is December now, as evidenced by the Christmas Pandora playlist. A lot of things I ordered on Black Friday are here. By a lot of things, I mean one. I took my sweet ass time setting up the room, and I never actually got it to a point where I was ready to do a room tour. So here is my haphazard makeshift view of what it looked like for the last few months at least of me living there. And then fast the hell forward, COVID hits in early March, my job moves remote for at least 4 months, now it's 16 months, and me and my roommates make the decision to cut our lease on the apartment. If you want to hear more about why I decided to move out of SF, I'll have that video linked below in the description. We are 32 days from my move out date, but the moving out starts now because my dad, my lovely assistant, is going to Montana for the summer. There's some heavy lifting we have to do on a couple of my items in my room. If you're new here, you don't know why I'm moving out of San Francisco, it's because of my job. Our offices are still closed from COVID. They're gonna start rephasing us back in, but until I have to go back to the office, I'm just gonna reset at home and figure out my game plan and just not pay rent to be somewhere I don't really need to be, especially when I have to pay $1,500 a month to be there. So we're gonna focus on our savings, and I'll see you guys at the apartment. All right, we made it. I haven't been here in like 3 months. Nostalgia is just washing over me. I never even got to finish this room. Like, I have a bunch of artwork here that I was supposed to do a gallery wall, either here or here with. And I was gonna do shelves, but yeah, next apartment, that's all cut short, so.
Okay. Not too bad.
Ugly. It took us like an hour. How long do you think it took us to put up the original light?
God. Might have been 2 hours.
Might have been 2 hours. It was dark. It was quite literally lit while it lasted. I promise I'll repay him for all of this work.
Where the hell did all your friends go?
It felt a little warped that a room that had taken me 5 months just to get to, you know, like a comfortable state took us one afternoon to mostly disassemble.
Jane, do you remember what you told me?
Unloading the dresser so it's lighter.
In the bathroom midnight, baby, we were so messed up. She said, well, you can be mine.
Regret is starting to creep in that I'm leaving this beautiful space. I'd be lying if I didn't say I felt conflicted right now. Like, I just feel like I owe this place more time, and I know I fully could have made the decision to renew it, and I have complete agency over this, but it doesn't bring me extreme joy to leave, you know? It's just, it is what it is.
But we took apart the big items, and then it was back to the suburbs for a month before I came back for one final stretch in SF and in my apartment before moving out the rest of the way.
Ooh, y'all, today is move out day, and the timing is cuckoo bonkers because it's the last week of work before we have a week off, and it's a Thursday, so I'm frantically in my email inbox following up with people and trying to get work done and get everything out and as safely out as possible. And I'm hoping it doesn't take until 3 a.m. It very well might be. I woke up today and thought I could work out before I moved, and that was just a fool's errand, a absolute Looney Tune to think that I could do that, because I think you can hear some of my frantic energy. It's so disgustingly messy, but I thought I'd just show you like the reality of the situation, because sometimes it's satisfying to see people's life in shambles, you know? The rise and fall of YouTubers, quite interesting. So thumbs up if you think I'm doing even a half decent job of vlogging this process. It's harder than I thought to document this all. It just is, so.
Watching these clips back of myself, it was sort of conflicting because I'm leaving a space way before I naturally wanted to, but honestly, it kind of feels like nobody's in their ideal state right now, unless I'm completely off. Like, we all had to make decisions about our living environments under really, really constrained parameters. Like, obviously, we had no idea how long the pandemic would last, whether it was 3 weeks or 3 years. None of us knew anything about our jobs and the future there, where our friends would be living or moving. And so I think that's why, personally for me, moving back in with my parents felt so safe, because I wasn't locked into something and a new lease where I would just have to create yet another exit strategy and figure out that plan. It just kind of gave me like a moratorium on it, and that's obviously in huge part due to my privilege of having parents who will accept me back into my home, and also just a spare room to head back into. Talking to you guys and my friends, it does feel like there's a huge chunk of us all moving out of our city apartments, so this whole death of cities narrative rings somewhat true, but then again, mostly everyone is still planning to move back to a city in the near future, just maybe not the same city. And a lot of my friends have taken this opportunity to move to a city they've always wanted to and just couldn't make it line up perfectly with their jobs. So it's been one huge shuffle, and I just tried to capture my thoughts and feelings as I went through it. And now it's time for me to overshare in a big way.
Ooh, okay. Horrible lighting because it's midnight, but I left the apartment and said goodbye to my roommate and just shut that door, and it's like, it really does feel like a chapter of my life is like closed. Maybe everyone always feels this way when they move out. I can't even remember what I felt like when I moved out of college, but oh my god, I'm just so grateful to have lived here and to have had the experience of living in the city. And when I was thinking about it cynically a couple weeks ago, I was like, I don't think I've learned that much from being on my own, and I haven't made as many friends as I've wanted to, and there was so much more in the city I never really got to accomplish. And my head might think that way, but it doesn't feel that way. Like, it really does feel like a huge part of me that I just shut the door on, and I'll never get to go back there. Like, I'll never come back to that apartment. I don't know if I already said this in the vlog, but when I was at my parents' house for 2 months during quarantine, that felt like home, and I couldn't imagine coming back to the apartment. And now that I've been at the apartment for a month, this feels like home, and I can't imagine living anywhere else, like, as crazy as that sounds. It took me a long time to feel really comfortable and at home in that apartment, and it was like this last month of living there where I finally got really, really close to one of my roommates and finally felt like I could be 100% myself and sing and like dance and like just be, 100% me, like, all the time. And that took me 10 months, which is a hell of a long time, but now I'm like, well, what more could I have accomplished if I just stayed here like an extra
6 months, if I just been here 2 years, like there's a twinge of guilt for not investing more in this apartment and giving it more of a fair shake. But now I know myself, like what it takes for me and adjusting to a living environment. And some of you may move into a place with roommates and feel comfortable day 2. And for some of us, maybe me, it takes a lot longer, and that's okay. Like that's okay. Like you can't force those things. More than anything, I know that my next experience, whatever the hell that's gonna be, I have no idea right now. I cannot tell you. But my next, like, you know, living experience that I really move to, I need to be more compassionate towards myself and give myself time to warm up and not put the pressure on, but also stay home more and like not feel like I always have to be going out and doing something. I kind of always felt a little bit competitive of like, well, I don't want to be too much of a homebody. You know, if my roommates are out and about and doing everything, I want to be out and about and doing everything and taking advantage of the city. But the truth is, like, you're paying rent for this place. Why not really, you know, take the time to make it your go-to home base, like your true home. So I don't know, I was actually worried I wouldn't get emotional, because then I would just feel like this whole experience of living up here was a waste if I just moved in and moved out without even a hesitation. But this chapter is over. Thank you if you've watched this video this far. I know it's been mainly reflection and less so advice, but I did want to leave you with one recommendation. If you're in a sort of transitional phase in your life and you're moving, and really no matter where you're at in your life, but bring something new into your next phase. And one way to do that is by developing a new skill, potentially through the sponsor of this video, which is Skillshare. What you haven't seen as I've been editing this video is that I'm also redoing my new room that I'm moving into. Emily Henderson on Skillshare has this really great class. I want to say it's called Style Your Space. And the beautiful thing about Skillshare is that I've actually already taken a different interior design course on there, but the beauty is there's thousands and thousands of classes to choose between, so you're never just done exploring one topic. If you watch a class, which most of them are under 60 minutes, and you want to learn more, that's your bag, and they let you do that for under $10 a month with the annual subscription. Or for you, it could be free if you click the link in my description and you're one of the first 1,000 people to do so. That gives you a free trial to Skillshare, which if you are super uninitiated and never heard of them, I'm impressed. Because they blanket the YouTube space, but they're an online learning platform, so it's not just interior design, it's everything from cooking to UI UX to photography, animation, like videography, mental health. Like there's a range of courses, so you truly never run out. So if you want to try out this amazing resource for free, head to the link in my description. And thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring me. Plenty more of videos in this moving series I've decided to do that will be coming out, so subscribe to my channel if you have not, and also follow me on my Instagram, where I am so much more frequent. That's where I put all my music recs, that's where I put all my political beliefs, that's where I put all my nature content. It's just this whole other side of me that YouTube doesn't allow me to display because of copyright reasons, the algorithm, what performs well, and whatnot. So I love you all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time, hopefully. And Katherout.